somebody that nominates themselves from the floor and you're wanting to change your vote based on any floor nominations, you would just need to clearly mark that you're no longer voting and then mark very clearly the correct, so there's no question that you're voting for more than one person, because that will invalidate the ballot. Any questions on that before we move on to other items? Okay, perfect. So again, my name is Kaylin Flowers. I'm your community manager. And some of y'all have gotten to meet with me in person, some over the phone, also with the homeowner portal. So I want to address and go over some community projects along with pitfalls and goals that your management company has. As we know, there's been some issues while also working on other projects, and then a few other announcements that we're doing to mitigate those items, along with the process for when we do get to turnover and the punch out items, as we know that's going to have some questions from the homeowners once we get to that point. So again, I'd like to also introduce Aaron Kutris. He is our new admin cam, or our assistant cam. So we've recognized there have been some communication issues, follow-ups with work orders, items that have come through the portal, and there's been some delays on getting responses. Atmos has recognized that, and just on Monday, Aaron Kutris started. He is solely devoted to our East Coast and Central Florida properties, and his goal is daily checks on the homeowner portal to provide at minimum an update of received, and we're working on the item. He has already met and started email communications with our vendors on site, and then also ARC applications, the work orders, general inquiries, for some properties like our leasing management, if that's a community that requires that. I'm very excited personally to be able to bring that service on for Brooks Landing. It's a beautiful community, we want to keep it that way, so that's a huge step for us to be able to navigate and increase that communication and support for Brooks Landing along with our other East Coast communities. I just realized I did not introduce you, and I'm so sorry. One of the reasons we also were able to meet for him today is Megan Wilbur is the developer representative. She's currently standing in for the president, or she is the president, excuse me, of the Brooks Landing Board of Directors. So we have Chrissy Asensio. Inocencio, I never say it correctly, as our vice president, and then I don't even want to attempt Doug's last name. Prodell, I always say Prodel, so excuse me. Doug Prodell is our secretary treasurer, and he is the board member that has resigned at the conclusion of this meeting, so that our new resident board member that's elected can step in and take that role. Okay, so going into some projects, and then please know I will open the floor for questions prior to the election. We're on a time frame with our developer. She does have to leave by 5 o'clock, so we just want to make sure we can get through the vote by then. But if I need to stay after to answer questions, I'm happy to do that. So throw that out. All right, so projects that we're currently working on in Brooks Landing. I know a big push that is almost completed and there's still some questions on was the landscaping updates. The remulching, we had some planned replacements from the January's freeze. The majority of that has been completed. There's also some finalizations with the playground mulch that will be completed as well. And we're finalizing quotes for the pressure washing of the playground area and also the pavilion. We had a contractor on site today to get a final quote, so we have a comparable, and our goal is to schedule that in July. Another one is the question of the mailbox area. We had discussed last year, and I will say it was either early this year or last year, where there was the request to put in some pavers around the mailbox area, as we really had some issues with ruts and cars driving up. It's understandable. I wouldn't want to leave my car in the middle of the road either. So the pavers, we've got Wagner Pavers is one that's finalizing their quotes along with Alliance Pavers. We're looking for a third one. We have one back out. So we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence and getting 3 solid quotes to be able to present and review. So that is in process, and once we have those comparables, we'll be able to review with the board and go that route. And our resident board member will be able to be in that process as well. So that's a big project. Irrigation, I know, is a huge, huge topic. So we just recently, this week, had some additional irrigation repairs completed on the east side pump. This is just a today notification, so we'll be working through this process, but the main issue is what's causing, it's the debris and just the pump filters are taking on a lot of strain from the pumps, and it's causing that kind of pressure issues sporadically. So some homeowners will say they have no issues with pressure, while others it's dribbles on their property. Part of that is scheduling if you have a lot of homeowners at one time, but the biggest issue that we're working on tackling is the filtering process. We have a quote that just came in this morning for some self-cleaning pumps and filters that will assist, because we have looked into the process of monthly maintenance, and I will tell you it was very, very high. It was actually more expensive than just the repairs and then coming on site every few months to change out those filters. So we're trying to find other vendors because we're coming up on that warranty time period. So there's a few options there. It's in process. We'll be working through keeping up the communication and e-blast announcements, which is also where Aaron Kuchers comes in. We'll be switching to a bi-weekly notification system. If we see that and y'all are wanting weekly, we can work with that and switch it, but typically bi-weekly seems to be the most appreciated. It's not too much every week where you stop reading it, so bi-weekly will be the goal for our e-blast communication to include items like irrigation, landscaping, and whatnot. Okay, let me see. There were also, again, general landscaping questions specifically over the last few weeks. I walked the property again with our account manager. His name is Brad Parsons. There have been some missed areas, particularly around the lake beds and a few in the front. One of the biggest reasons for that is it's really started to rain. And so they're trying to change the schedule up where it's not right in the morning or like later in the afternoon when it starts to rain. They're trying to find that sweet spot for Brooks Landing, as if it's in the afternoon and it's rained, we don't want to cause additional ruts. We know it's still under construction as well, so we're having those items where sometimes construction vehicles are causing ruts on the sides, but around the lakes and whatnot, we don't want to see those ruts, so they're honing in their schedule, and we're expecting to see some progress with that over the next 2 weeks as well. So we'll continue to provide updates on that. Speaking of construction, punch out items. I know we have some open work orders for items with construction damage, questions on common areas that are seeing some issues. Please know it is not falling on deaf ears. How that process works is while the community is still in construction, we try to target what we can that is not going to potentially see future damage. And so that's why there is sometimes a hold on certain items. But please know with turnover well on the horizon, we checked, we're at 113 homes right now that have started the closing process with more under contract. And with the contract set, based on what Ryan Holmes says they're closing out, that's why we're estimating that early Q1 turnover for the residents to take ownership of the HOA. And that process is called turnover. And from the date of turnover, we have 90 days to go through, address all of those concerns, work with the developers, they pass over the community to the residents. So please know that's the spot, that's a catch-all. We do just like you would at a closing sale in your home. You walk the property, put the blue tape up, you make your punch-out list. It's a very similar thing, just on a community-wide scale. Okay, so I do want to pause for some questions here, and then after questions, I'll be asking for anybody who's running for the board or would like to nominate they are welcome to speak and address the membership. And then I'll be asking for 3 volunteers to tally some votes once we get to that point. So, questions from homeowners? Yes.
About the ponds.
Yes.
When whoever decided to use that system, did they not know the prices of the maintenance or anything and everything that goes along with that system?
That is a great question. I don't directly. So the question, yeah, I'll repeat the, that's a good point. I'll repeat the question. The floating islands. The cost of the floating islands, the system was that.
Maintenance that you was talking about that's real high.
Yeah.
Pumps.
The irrigation pump versus I misunderstood.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah.
That's part of it too.
So the irrigation pumps. Okay. So our developer rep will speak to it. So
Yeah. So, her question was related to the overall maintenance and operation of the pond and irrigation system.
Can you stand up, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Particularly the troubles you're having with the pumps. So, when the community was pre-planned with the engineer and the city, there are certain limits of utilities at the time that were available to that area. One not being available was reclaimed water. So what was decided at the time of the engineering and was to pull in stormwater harvest the reclaimed through a private system on each pump, or each pond. So pulling water out, feeding the system and irrigating the lawns that way. So it's not a limit of, and at the time, they did not allow us to pull any irrigation off your potable and charge irrigation prices, so you would have had to pay potable water pricing if they would have even allowed it, which they didn't at the time. So the reason why it's set up the way it is it's constraints with available utilities and what would service the site the best at that time with what they had. And as far as did we know the cost of maintenance, we do our best to anticipate and build an HOA budget at the time of its creation to capture all of that. So once we had the system in place, we would get with Atmos, and then they would go start bidding out what it would take to maintain the pond, the irrigation, all of those things. With brand new pumps, it's kind of like you start out and you start the maintenance of it. There's going to be issues and tweaks that come along, but in this case, Caitlin is trying to figure out the best option, most economical and functioning way to keep those ponds working at the pumps working at the best and most efficient rate.
So the maintenance of the one that you was particularly talking about, that is higher, a lot higher than you expected, was that a yes or a no?
No, so at the time, the maintenance was done with the landscaper. There was no need at the time to add in any additional intake, cleaning, or servicing, or monitoring weekly, because there wasn't a foreseen problem with that. It doesn't lend itself, we have a double issue going on too. It doesn't lend itself well for the ponds to have the following BMAT, what do you call it? They're called
islands,
BMATs.
the management company is BMATs.
So
Yeah.
we get rid of those?
I couldn't
Unless,
speak to that.
and maybe back to, you probably know more than me at this time, unless the HOA wanted to pursue at turnover a permit modification with the St. John's River Water Management System, the BMATs are required for nutrient improvement loading for the wetland that's in the center of your community. So the water and the stormwater runoff, those BMATs serve a purpose in improving the nutrients that go into that wetland.
I wonder if there's a target, don't we pay $70,000 for maintenance on those a year?
That is
Around there, yes.
that is what we've
Which
collected.
is a lot of money.
72 actually.
72,000
Yeah.
a year for them to cut, they come out there 4 times.
4 times.
Three.
3 times a year and about 10 days or something. It seems like a lot of money for floating islands that maybe we can have some alternative.
And then I can speak to that. We have been doing our best to work through and look at alternate options, potentially not having to do a full permit change to get something going. I do not have clear answers on that yet. There has been multiple vendors that have come on site and said, we don't have an option for you, we don't have an option for you. Not just lake doctors, different vendors throughout the state of Florida that we've been communicating with. So we're working towards solutions for you, whether it be this year while the developer is still in control, they can review along with the resident board member, or it's something once the homeowners take over, we can, worst case scenario, go through and do a full permit amendment and get different options, whether that's shoreline maintenance or a different type of in-water maintenance. So, and quickly to go back to your question with the yes or no on the irrigation, like preventative maintenance basically. It is not a no, it's a not this proposal, because it was coming out based on what the repairs we had been working through and seeing the budget and how consistently we were having to do it. It was still more expensive than that, than just coming on site every few months and cleaning out those filters, which their preventative maintenance, it wasn't just that. There was an unwillingness to quote, for whatever reasons. So that's why it's not a no, but it was not a yes to that proposal from the warranty vendor. Yes. Sir.
So I got 2 questions. As far as debris of what's causing these pumps to clog and filtration, do we know what is causing that issue? Have they said, is it just trash, grass?
It is not trash. I know there has been, you can see that it's a construction site. It's less so of one as we're getting closer to turnover, but it is still construction. There is debris sometimes that gets in the lakes. That's not the main cause of it. It is growth in the lake, so we're also working with lake doctors and trying to see, because on the surface, yes, we have seen an increase in the, not duckweed, what's the word? Just the growth on top of the water. Every year, it is very difficult for any Florida community to never see that kind of growth. We mitigate and then we respond with an additional service in the month that it flares up. So we are working through that with lake doctors, and we're expecting to see again within the next 2 weeks or so with an additional treatment for that to mitigate and come back down.
So,
Yes.
one thing that I'm noticing is whoever our landscape contract is with, they're blowing a lot of the
Yes.
grass into the ponds, which are adding tons of unnecessary nutrient to it.
Yes,
Which
I
I'm sure is
completely agree.
increasing growth.
Yep.
Whatever chemicals are being treated on are gonna add nitrogen to it. And I'm sure that that's contributing to the filtration.
I completely agree with you, and for those that couldn't hear, the comment was landscapers are not every time angling in the right direction, they're blowing the grass clippings into the lake, which is, yeah. So, one item, yes, we recently came in, his name is Brad Parsons, he's a new account manager, he got to walk the property, which I, with a few homeowners, so thank you to those who did come on that walk and discussed certain areas of concern and then goals that we have for the community. One item I do recognize, when it comes to the heat of Florida, this is also the time when landscapers experience the highest turnover for their general, just landscaper, not the account manager, but their staff. So I'm just I'll remind Brad, he has to every week that he's on site with his team, or if he has an assigned person with that team, they have to remind those landscapers they have to go the other way. They cannot be blowing it in the grass. Or we can look at, hey, you were causing us some additional lake maintenance. We need to work on that. So
Same thing goes with the sod, with the, like, with the VMAT people coming in and out and ruining the sod right there.
yes, we have though. I have not heard back yet, but we have photos of the really bad area along Lottie and Landing where that sod got messed up and we're having that leaking issue on the drive there, the sidewalk, and then also the one with the lake on that east side. There was rut damage. So we are working through on them, and we will not be processing any items we come in until that's resolved.
Who's paying for the ruts, who's paying for the ruts that these trucks make? Are we paying for it, or are the companies that are doing it paying for it?
We have not paid for that, no.
Okay.
We pushed back on
We
that.
should.
Yeah, no. That's a good question. Yes.
My question,
Sorry,
how
I'm sorry.
long do these quotes take for the pavers and the pressure washing? Because you emailed us in July of 2025
Correct.
saying you were working on those.
Yes, those were old quotes, and the reason why we didn't move forward was, unfortunately, I'll just be honest, it fell through the cracks with me as your manager, and then when we started getting into these higher irrigation issues, we wanted to make sure we had funding for the immediate items, and so that did not get pursued. We have started renewing those quotes again. Wagner, they were actually on site this morning. Alliance Pavers has come in to renew their quote. So I'm not expecting any true like price differences, but again, once we have that, I'm expecting 2 weeks to finalize the remaining quotes, and then we'll be able to present to the board and see about moving forward with that.
Are they going to be doing both sides or just the side adjacent to mailboxes?
We currently right now are looking only at the side adjacent to the mailboxes, as we want to not create a parking spot for people, because we want to make sure we're not enticing people to drive up too close to the mailboxes and potentially cause issues there. And we also don't want people leaving a vehicle there. It is a temporary drive up, don't cause ruts, and then move on and go park back in your driveway. So right now it's a 2-car length on the street side is the quote, yes.
Have you thought about?
Hold on, I keep skipping you, I'm sorry. I'll come right back to you. Yes, sir.
So as far as how the property is being walked, what is that just road walks, sidewalks? Because we have an area on the east side boundary where the ditch is, and it was washed out during the flood. We spoke back in, I think it was November, about it. It is still washed out, and they just mow right over top of it. And there's a tree that half the roots are exposed, and there's about 6 feet of irrigation that is just
Talking about on the far side of the lake?
The far east.
No, on the
Yes.
far east side of Landing Drive, behind the homes where the ditch connects the front retention pond
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
and the spillway,
Yeah.
there's a large washout. I mean, there's probably 6 foot of irrigation pipe that is unsupported, just
Okay.
spanning the
Okay.
hole.
We'll get Robinsons on that.
It's been,
So they mow, I mean, I know they
they
have.
mow and weed eat around it every time.
There's a hand up back here.
Yeah, I'll catch that one. I had the question here, and then I'll come there. Yes, sir.
Have you thought about using concrete in that area in front of the mailboxes and stuff, papers? I mean, you got a concrete guy that's in there every day.
We can look into it. That just requires permitting, while pavers, because they're porous, do not. So that's the balance of, we can look at that and get a quote and just see, it'll just take a little bit longer with permitting, but we're open to it. So we can do both.
What do you guys wanna see?
Yeah.
Behavior?
I'd like to see the mailboxes pushed back and do a pull to get
Oh,
off the road.
that'll be a
That's
full
way
plan.
down the road.
I wish I could give you that, I can't do that,
Right.
but.
A
we could-
temporary solution.
That's what should have
Take-
been done to begin with.
Right.
They do it in those neighborhoods. They get into this new, it's by us.
So,
I think there was one.
yeah, there was no. Yes, sir.
My question is, how often do you drive the neighborhood?
So, the goal was every 2 weeks. Again, I will say there was a pitfall on my end, which is why we immediately brought on Aaron Kucherson, assistant Sam. He's local to the area in Titusville, like I am as well. So for the remainder of the summer, we will be doing weekly drives, where I do one and then he does one who's being trained, and then as the community gets back up to the standards that we all want to see, especially me, we will go back to that every 2 weeks, but not until we see the progress we want to see.
Okay, because my concern is, that right now, we have the Wild West out there. We got yards that aren't being kept. They're not in sync with what the homeowners association thing says. We're going in all different directions. We got a house with a big tree in back that hasn't mowed their yard in probably 6 months. What the hell is going on? Why aren't you guys taking care of that kind of stuff?
So that particular, I will say, as a general statement, we won't discuss exactly where each particular home is in their non-compliance notifications, but all active non-compliances have been sent out notifications, and then every week they will be receiving updates until we see progress. Because of
Are we
issues
finding
like that.
them?
Potentially, yes, if they do.
What's potentially mean? A
So
month from now,
potentially
6
means,
months from now?
because we restarted some notifications due to the lapse in certain timeframes, so we did restart. Everybody has, where it's a 14-day notice, a 7-day notice, and then a 5-day notice, and then they are sent to the attorney or a finding committee. That's across the board, will be the standard for every home. If there's been ARC changes that were not approved, they will receive a violation. If there are dead plants and sod in their yard, they will receive a violation. If there is weeds and dead sod, they will receive a violation. If you're not mowing and it's overgrown.
I'm not
you will
looking
receive
for
a
somebody to, say you gotta have it cut 3.5 inches. I just want it to be
Look,
uniform.
correct.
We paid money for these homes,
I agree.
and I don't want it to go down because we don't have people to take care of their yards.
Correct. I am very optimistic with the weekly drives. We're going to see some very quick responses from homeowners now that they're going to be consistently receiving those notifications.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And why the fountain works?
I did hear the fountain. I got a notification this morning that the fountain was. I had an intention to drive it this morning and had to go to a different community due to an on-site meeting that was going on. So
How
I
long
will be
did it
on site. I got it this morning, but somebody said that it's been the full week.
Tell me what the reason, what's the problem there? Is it getting clogged up too?
Yeah, that's
That-
usually why they go down.
That happened right after the rain. Every time we get a hard rain, that
Well,
fountain goes down.
that's gonna be in Florida, 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Right, oh, well, that's what I mean,
We'll have-
it's just stirring up
Yeah,
debris.
we'll have,
It's a terrible system.
lake doctors also did the fountain install, and they do the electrical and the lake maintenance, so we'll make sure they follow up and give us a report of what the cause was, and if there's anything preventative, we can put in place.
Did they ever look into putting a squirrel cage around where the water intake is to prevent debris from getting sucked in?
No.
This is all the time.
Yeah.
It seemed like it would have been warranty and just got a new, different system. they can't keep this one up.
I will say every part that has been replaced, we have not paid for. There has been some labor charges, but not every time. But no parts have been paid for, and it's been a different one every time. So at least it's been warranted that way in terms of the parts being replaced. Yes.
Yeah, I don't have any children, but there's a lot of children within in our community, and there's a lot of cars that speed, and I know that there's a given, speed limit, but I think it should be posted somewhere around the community where people could be held accountable if they're going so fast. I mean, I've seen cars going so fast even when kids are out there playing, and to me, that's a very dangerous thing.
So part of that, the practicals, I will look at the potential of speed limit signs in the community, and I will work with the board. That may be a turnover item. Once we get to that point, we will review. Speed bumps would definitely be a turnover one. Not
The roads are private.
Yes.
So you do have some flexibility on what you can implement there for traffic flow. I'm sure the city will want some way in on what will be done, but they are private.
I have his hand up, and I'll come right to you. Yes, sir.
Right, so when you was talking about washouts, I know in my area, well, actually behind my property last time, it rained a lot, big old washout, and the warranty, Ryan kept saying it was HOA developer, and Ryan was back and forth because my neighbor got affected too, so it was like a big old, sinkhole right in my backyard where all those pipes are exposed for the irrigation. Yeah, that's in my backyard, so my fence, if I walk, I just fall in the back corner of my fence. And so it was, I think, last year, it was back and forth between developer and Ryan Holmes, and Ryan Holmes just said, so it just, and now it happened again, so my neighbor's fence is falling off, and mine, that big old hole again, and there's all those pipes exposed. You hear all that water, like a pipe going through there on my property as well. They said they were gonna contact you about it.
Yep, we did receive that, and Robertson's confirmed receipt of that work order. They were scheduling their tech either today or tomorrow, just based on that tech's availability. I know we did review that last time. We did make sure there were no active leaks from any of the common area piping. It seemed to have been from rain, and that's why Ryan Holmes was more the contact for that lot item versus the HOA.
From the get-go, could he get graded, it was graded correctly or what happened?
And if it's a lot grading issue, that is Ryan Holmes, not the developer. They do the land itself, but the builder is responsible for the lot specific grading.
And then on the other question, you asked what would be better, concrete?
Yeah.
It was, of course, financially, it's probably gonna be the paver, because not only you don't have to have a permit, but two, you can replace the paver.
Yeah.
Everybody, that's why it's so money too, because everybody drives on there, right? And not just the post on there, everybody drives up on it, so if you get the concrete, then it's gonna, over time, it's gonna crack, and then we're gonna spend more money to replace it, you can just replace it with the paver, so that'd be the most cost-effective way, for the pavers.
And I'm sorry, what was that question?
Yeah, I want to hear bits
Yeah,
and pieces of
the
this whole
question was,
conversation.
he was experiencing washout near his lot, and there was questions on HOA versus builder warranties on that area, and whether the grading was correct on the lot specific. So when it happened the first time, the HOA did come out and confirm there were no active leaks from HOA piping or irrigation lines that run behind his property line, that was not the cause of any washout, and so there were follow-ups with Ryan Holmes as the builder for any potential warranty items with the lot grading. And then paver discussions on, he's recommending pavers versus concrete for cost effectiveness. One item I do want to say, we can continue to take questions. However, I want to make sure that we do still have the election. So what I'd like to do, and if we have, we will take all questions. We can pivot for a moment and have those that are here that are running for the board go ahead and speak, and then we'll vote. I'm going to need 3 volunteers to tally the votes, and we can have Aaron assist those tally volunteers, and then we can continue to take questions. Does that work for everybody? Any issues with that? Okay, perfect. So we have 4 homeowners that have volunteered to run for the board in alphabetical order, because I don't play favorites or anything, alphabetical by last name. We have Jose Bravo, who is here. We have Darby Harris. Are you here? Yes, perfect. Jones. Perfect, and John Steinman, right here. All right, before I ask anybody that's put in their candidate information to stand up and introduce themselves, if they'd like to, you don't have to. Do we have any nominations from the floor? Can't make it that easy on me. All right, going once. Going twice. And sold. All right, so for the 4 volunteers that are here, if you'd like to quickly address your neighbors here and speak, you're welcome to. So going in order, Jose.
Well, I go by Joe. Nice to meet everybody. I'm a little under the weather, so I don't want to talk too much, but be glad to see and meet everyone and talk to everybody. Thank you. Just go ahead and under the
Darby Harris, for those I haven't met yet, just moved to Space Coast back in April, my fiance and our 2 dogs, and worked, volunteered for the board on my last condo community for 5+ years back in Virginia before I moved here, so it's where my interest in the crowd serving this community.
I'm Catherine Jones. We have lived here for 2 months in the association, and we have been Florida residents, Titusville residents for over 50 years. I was on my homeowners board with Caitlin's father for a couple of years. So I threw my hat into the ring that I would love to help out. I love where I'm living, and I want to continue to see it thrive and not go down from where it is at this point.
That's you.
Good evening. My name is John Steinman. I'm running for the board. I think everybody's seen the bio that was put out, so I won't belabor that point. But I will make a note, this is a very difficult time. Trying to get everything up to speed without a homeowners board, which sees everything every day. And where management and developers running the board don't see what we see. And I know I get very impatient wanting things corrected, but really the full-fledged operation happens at turnover. Turnover is a very critical point. I've been involved in turnovers and 30-year reruns. I would say that turnover is probably one of the most important to the community as a whole, because that gets us up to speed so that we can move forward.
All right, so here's gonna be the most difficult part of the day. Twofold. First, anybody who doesn't have a pen, I'm going to pass out pens. I'm gonna ask people to share because I don't think I brought enough pens for everybody. Second thing, I'm gonna need 3 people that are not on the ballot to volunteer to be tally counters. So we'll do that first and then we'll vote. So I have 1, I have 2, I saw your hand first. So I've got 1, 2, 3. If you could stand up and then tell me your name so I can write it for the minutes, and then we'll get going.
I'm Deanna.
What's the last name?
Raven.
Okay, next up, sir.
I'm Russell Jones, as the comment, so I won't discount.
I will say, we may want to ask for anyone volunteer, I should have specified. If you've got a spouse, we had a couple others, I'm sorry to skirt you like that. We're going to ask for one more. Roxanne Smith. I appreciate it though. All right, because I'm mean like that and they know my dad, I'm going to ask for one more volunteer for Tally County. Okay, what's the name?
Mike Dodd.
Mike Dodd. Perfect. All right, we have our 3 volunteers. All right, so I will pass out pens. I'll kind of start on this side and then circle if I need. We are going to need to pivot a little bit because we didn't have enough seating. Yeah, we'll have y'all sit here and everybody can stare at you while we tally. It's everybody's favorite part. I'm going to pass out pens and then we'll come around and collect ballots. Again, don't write your name on them. Because it's not really a double envelope. It's not required for this association. But
California, we'll see the votes today.
does look like an offering, like, let it jingle a little bit. Yeah, HOA fee checks. Here, I'll come through. All right, our middles are gonna get to know me a little bit better as I walk through. Sorry about that. Anybody here? I could. I want to get to know people.
Whether there's pictures on it. Let's get the cheese off.
We have our Hannah, our last volunteer, to come on. All right, so this is where it's going to be somewhat boring for some, but we will take additional questions during this time, so we'll see how fast. We don't want it fast, we want it done right. So I'm going to explain this. I'm going to turn my back to y'all for a minute, then I'll come back for questions. All right, so y'all get to sign your life away on our teller affidavits. Oh, no. I didn't see that. All right, so how we do this, we have our final tally sheet that once we come to the agreement, Mark, all three of you will sign confirming the election votes. But for your individual, we have you put your name on the prepared line on top, and we have one extra for anybody who really mess up. That's okay. Mark off if there's an issue. And we'll have you open, mark, pass down, mark, and then I will collect them here. And then we're just going to go through here and pass it down. We can go ahead and get started. So, a few things if they're in your packet. So, if you see a ballot that has 2 votes on it or more, it is invalidated, marked with an X, it cannot be counted. If you see one with none, somebody turn the blue sheet and we got it. Now, if there's any other additional marks, if it makes it look clear for some reason, let me know, but hopefully it's pretty standard, somebody just. Oh, we actually did? Alrighty. I'm fine if you want to chat for a little bit, it's going to take a little bit of time, or we can come back to questions. I'll go this way, and I'll come across, so. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Just to let everybody know that I'm the one that's recording, and what I'm going to try to do is, in the next few days, is to get it up and on YouTube, and then I'll post the link to go to see the meeting. And I'd like to try to do that every day. But that way, you know, those that can't make it can go and look and see what took place. Don't grade me on my charter skills.
Yes, there is a
So Caleb, you said one of the work processes being completed is that the landscaping is almost completed. I have a concern about what you mean by completed versus what I see when I drive in and out of Brookfield.
Right.
There are at least 8 trees or bushes right there, as we've got guests coming into our development, they're going, oh, is this really a new development, or is this something that's been here 30 years? Because no one's taking care of these dead bushes and trees.
Yep. So there are a few the taller dead trees, we did not get quoted all of them. There were some that were showing the effort to turn that have since seemed to not come back. So we will be following up on that additionally and spacing out, because again, now in the storm that shall not be named season, we want to make sure we're frugal in when we're replacing these trees. Some of the shrubbery, that is still part of it. There was some additional mulching around the lift station, a few other areas that have not been completed yet. So I will check and go back to the numbers on all of the front shrubs, but that was part of it that is still in process to be completed, along with some of the mulching.
Well, I would really like to know specifically why we have so many dead bushes and trees up front. I mean, everybody on our own property, we've been told to take care of it, but in that common area, rippers coming in, there's several that run the main lot line, there's several that run this way, and so as you turn, you go either towards the model homes, or whether you turn towards the west side or the east side, that's all you see are dead trees in there. That's very disconcerting.
Understood. Yes, sir.
Speaking more of the front area, as far as the gazebo, how often is the plan to clean that when the Ivys decide to leave us?
Yes.
And then also that partial hedge line that we have in front of just the dog park.
I know, right?
Is that going to be extended, or what was the purpose of that? I mean, I get that it's probably blocking some of the dog park.
Just which side of the dog park are you talking about?
It's on the south side, it's facing JJ. We have like it looks odd because it's an incomplete hedge line in front of the
It's the high
dog park. And then also with the front, I know we had discussed in the past of putting in potentially an entry light at the entrance to turn in, because in the middle of the night it is so dark. There are no street lights near that.
So,
And
I will say, we did at one point have those solar lights. Yes, so we had a couple questions there. One was the hedge area, seeing what looks incomplete in front of the dog park. There are no plans, I'm not yelling in your face, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how close I was getting. Step back here. So there's no additional plans for further landscaping additions and development. What the goal is now is getting it back up to where it was and then maintaining from there. So nothing additional planned for that area, for that hedge.
it's just odd. And then the other question was as far as gazebo, I was creating the mess under there. I'm sure they're getting out of the heat or rain or whatever it was, but that stayed that way. I wasn't paying attention. I think it's still.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the third question I had was in regards to the discussion of putting a light in at the very front entry, just to provide a little bit of light for the turn in. I mean, we have the street light at the end of the entry lane,
Right.
but we don't have anything at the front. We know it, but
Right, and
other people,
And to speak to that, I will say I was able to do one night drive, and we did have 3 solar lights installed. They are not by any way like permanent lights, they were more landscaping lighting. They're either not working anymore or have been taken.
Wow.
So, is there any lighting when y'all drive in at night?
No.
That's not something I typically see, because again, when I'm on site, it's typically during the day, so I wouldn't see it.
I even popped some in the first couple months we lived here because it was so dark.
And is it being taken, or does it seem like
They were
it's
gone,
like every
they were
time the
gone after the
landscapers
landscapers.
come, they're
mowed.
gone.
They pull
Okay.
them out and take them off.
A street lamp.
That's good to know.
Quite 2 times now.
Yeah, street lighting and whatnot, that would be an after turnover item. I will 100% mention that to the account manager, that it seems to be every time that a light is put in and then landscaping comes through, there seems to be something no longer there. So that's a big deal for me. I will mention
There's
that
just
to
a
them.
couple of solar pub lights, it's.
Yeah, because I had put in 3 of them earlier this year, and since then I was not aware that it was no longer either working or there.
Yeah, they're not there.
They're not there at all. Okay. Out from here.
too, because I've seen several people make that first left, not like, you know how it goes in and out, violent in the middle, it's so dark that I saw some people make that first left to go.
You'll end up in the island.
It should just make it fun, it's dangerous that it's so dark. But to Caitlin's point, like, if you wanted to explore a permanent street light, that would be a process with Florida Power and Light to put in a work order request to put a permanent light in. And then they would facilitate that at that time. I'm not sure what that cost would be, if the association, what they would have to absorb for that, but it's something you could definitely explore. Yeah.
Even if we
Safety.
concrete faster.
And that could be something we can explore between now and turnover is, you know, if it's a no cost that doesn't impact you guys, and when we're at a developer control board, which we still are, regardless of whoever comes on, we are hesitant to make big financial decisions that impact the budget if the whole community doesn't have the voting right to say one way or the other. But if we have a homeowner representative on the board that can help explore that, and should it come back with no financial burden to the financials, then I see no reason why we couldn't get that done between now and turnover. We just want to be careful making financial decisions on behalf of the board that you will soon control in January.
You have a question over here, by the way.
I will get there in just a moment when I come here, and I'll come over there. Yes.
I'm curious, I imagine I'm not the only one experiencing this, but a majority of my yard, a majority of it, there's dead parts in it, and I don't know if it's because of the sod or because of sprinklers, they genuinely do not work whatsoever. And I was wondering what's gonna happen about that. It's impossible to mow a dead yard, I would think.
Okay, understood. So the item with that is if you can turn on your sprinklers during the day and see how it runs and see if you're getting any pressure. That's the first place to start.
There's no pressure.
Okay, so you do know it's the irrigation that is not running properly.
Okay, so.
It seems, is that?
There was pressure this morning.
So we wouldn't be able to access your private property to
Talking
do.
about today, I'm talking in a general sense.
And part of that is, some of it is general, but others, we do need those kind of specifics of, when we talked about the irrigation earlier, some homes don't seem to ever really report irrigation issues unless the pump is off, and they're like, why is my stuff not running? We know why the pump is off, it's being repaired, and we're working through, that's not as consistent as it was earlier this year and back through last year as well.
Would it be possible
Or
to
the-
have the engineer that designed the system to address the head pressure? 'Cause my concern, I'm a mechanical engineer, my concern is the neighborhood may just not be rated for the amount of head pressure needed in these pumps. Because it does seem like certain people on the circuits are never getting pressure, and certain people, and that's gonna be somewhat how close you are to the pump, how many turns there are in the system, all of that stuff. If the system was never sized correctly though, you're always gonna have people at the end of the line that are gonna be dealing with pressure.
So I will speak to that in just a moment, I'm gonna finish here. So I would still say, check your individual irrigation and see if it's running, and also check when it's scheduled, because I don't know if it's scheduled like 3 a.m. and it's very inconvenient for you to go and watch it turn on at 3 a.m. to see if it's different pressure at 3 a.m. versus noon when you're at home, or 5 o'clock in the afternoon when you can turn it on and run it, and it seems to be running fine. So that's the first step. In terms of if it were not an irrigation issue and it seems to be running, and it's a sod issue, depending on when you close, it could be a potential warranty item, because the HOA itself does not install lot-specific landscaping, that is with the builder. So that's the two avenues. So depending on when you check that irrigation and see if you're having any issues that side.
Well, this may sound contradicting, but the water pressure inside the house, such as like the shower heads and things like that, I live in a second-story house. I have no issue with my shower head or water pressure, but the other person that I live with, which is my mom, she has issues with the shower head and sink and all of that. But so it's kind of weird to me how the
water
completely
line
different system.
feeds the interior water, and then the irrigation is fed from an external source. So the water pressure comes from the city, or county, I can't remember.
And I was just uneducated.
Thank you. Thank you both.
It's a good question,
Wanna make
it's
them
not
step
always
here,
thought
though.
about, for sure. And then I think she had a question over there.
Yes, I will speak to what you said earlier. Any question on this item?
My question is about around, maybe you discussed it before I got here, around the mailboxes where it floods so
Yes.
badly. Discussed it.
Yes, I'll go back. Sorry, here first and then I'll go.
So, last time we had a meeting on Zoom with the board members, and anybody could join, you said you were gonna put the meeting minutes on Atmos so that we can see those. There's a lot of stuff missing as in documents and stuff. Are you gonna start uploading those? So that we can see that stuff, we can see the minutes, we can see all the budgets, we can see all of that, you know,
Yes, so you're saying,
rules, everything.
and you're saying you can't see it at this moment?
You can see some of the budgets, so, but,
Okay,
yeah.
the-
But the
the minutes aren't showing right now?
The minutes are not showing, there's a
Agenda
lot of,
posting?
folders that are empty, so just we
Okay.
can.
Yeah, I will check from my side, I see the majority has been posted, but there's a difference of, if there's a function, like a board view versus a homeowner view, I will check to make sure that's accurate, because all homeowners should be able to access agendas, meeting minutes, so I will make sure that the viewing is correct, I'll do that this week, and fix that. In terms of financials, that process, it's typically a 45-day process from when they're posted to the board for review. They have a window of time to review the financial and variance reporting before we approve the financials and they become available for homeowner review. So that's why if it seems like we only have May or April, then May will be, but I'll still go back and check that all of the homeowner
Yeah, I do
supposed
that one.
views are actually labeled as homeowner view. I will absolutely have that out this week, and I'll do that before I send the e-blast tomorrow, because I'm compiling what we've discussed today along with the results. And I'll get to questions before we do this. So I'll have that tomorrow, and I will put a confirmation in there, hey, everything's been set to homeowner view, let me know if there's something you think you should see and still can't. And I can go in an individual basis and mimic your homeowner portal from that point and help you walk through that if needed. So thank you for that. Yes.
Just a quick suggestion. I like this room, it's a nice venue, but going forward, is there a way you can have a Bluetooth microphone to access the overhead PA for you? And the second one for anyone who needs to ask a question.
Yes, I will say, when this one was reserved, I completely thought it was a smaller room. I did not know it was gonna be this large, so absolutely next time we'll be asking for a microphone or some type of clip-on, so it's a bit easier to hear everybody. Yes. I have one more back here. Yes.
Did you say earlier that you're taking bids to pressure wash the gutter that has the rust in it?
No, the pavilion and the playground.
Okay. I was talking about where the ice had went under the.
What was the rust issue?
By the mailboxes.
The gutter,
Sidewalk and
there's.
the-
Oh, it's like orange.
All that rust.
That's always broken.
A pressure wash is not cheap.
No, that wasn't part of that. That's gonna be a whole other process and punch out items.
Yes.
I often walk around the neighborhood and I also ride a scooter. Now, I went to because I do kind of go fast on it, but an electric scooter is totally different from a vehicle as like a truck or a car. I see a lot of kids, especially in, I think it's my side, the west side. I think it's the west side, right?
It's, yeah, closer to, US one.
Yes,
So that's right.
I'm on the west side, and there's a certain area where there's a bunch of kids who tend to play outside and in the road and stuff like that. And all the time, even I myself once got hit almost got hit by a truck going at least over 25 miles down around the neighborhood. Will there ever be like signs or like something put up to recommend people to slow down because of the children and maybe animals?
So that one was somewhat discussed already with the speed limit signage, and the roads are private, so there will be some discussions with the city, and that may be a turnover item, or, again, it's something we can review with the current board and then we'll know if it's gonna be now or post turnover. Some people mentioned speed bumps, that would be a turnover, resident board. I need to stop saying turnover, because that's not something, that's not a punch out item, that's just a request from the homeowners. So once the homeowners take ownership of the board, they will be able to review those kind of items. So, yes, I'll go here, then I'll come back to you. Yes?
Yeah, do you have a spot between our house and the neighbor's house that the ground dips and water, you know, pools right there? So,
What's the address, you know?
2233 Landing Drive. That's great.
I have the same thing. Okay, those items, and this is where, again, I'm gonna reference Aaron Kutris. I know some of the work orders you have not seen updates. That is going to be changing. He's in there daily now. He's learning the system right now. It's gonna take, he's already started on general inquiries and homeowner requests, so he's learning work orders starting next week. We're gonna see those updating extensively as we go through and get him onboarded. So those specific items, I ask, if you've already submitted one, you will be seeing updates throughout the next week and a half. I would say Friday, end of Friday next week. We will have reviewed and responded to every pending work order. If you have not submitted one for that, please go ahead and put it in the portal so that we can begin tracking it and respond to those work orders.
And we're careful not, so if this well is on your private property.
We do confirm, yes.
We gotta be careful how much involvement the HOA can have, because they're not legally allowed on your private property for those kind of issues. So then we can always help coordinate, with the builder, further assistance if you're under warranty or there just is a issue, that you're experiencing. But I do want you to know that the HOA nor the developer did construct those swells. Those swells would have been put in at the construction of each of the homes and graded with each home. So it'll be important to understand if it's not in an easement that we have access to, then there's little that the HOA can do, but we will absolutely help get you to the right people with the builder side.
So she will also on the portal, they'll pass it over to you?
Yes, worst case scenario, still submit it, and then there's an item that we can click that says not HOA responsibility, and from there, we provide the Ryan Homes contact information and warranty portal link for you to submit.
I know we came in late, so we don't know what happened before, but there's a issue, if you're exiting the development and on the right-hand side, right between the sidewalk, there is a huge hole that has been opened with wires and stuff. It's been collecting water and it's been collecting so much that even the dirt is starting to fill in the hole. Now there is tape around it, but nothing has been done for what, almost 2 months. It's been sitting there open, and it started out almost 2 feet deep.
Yes, and that we are aware of that, and part of that is, again, referencing the ACAM, we needed some additional support to be able to more effectively follow up on these work orders and get on site, follow up with the relevant vendors, because not every one of them is landscaping. Sometimes it's bringing on a new vendor that's a bit more niche to the problem. So I believe I've seen that open work order on, I don't know if it's you that submitted or a different homeowner, but we do have an open work order for that item. And so we will be responding to those and have updates for every single open work order by the end of next week. And we'll be providing an update, even if we're having a vendor scheduled the following week. Some update you will receive one. And we will be tackling those more efficiently moving forward. Yes, so we do have a bit of a time crunch with our developer representative, so we're gonna still take questions, but it'll just be me at this point, and anything to the developer, if I can't answer it, I'll take a note of it. Okay, but we will, yes, send that follow-up. I am gonna announce the election results.
Please.
No. I have
result, and then we can still keep going. But with a total of 21 votes, as the highest, our majority vote is for Mr. John Steinman as our resident board member. So he'll be able to post the link to the video as one of your board members. It'll be great. So he'll be able to announce that. He'll be staying after to do an organizational board meeting with me and on the phone with Megan to just coordinate, get assignments out on the board positions. So again, thank you to everybody who volunteered. Board member positions are annually, well, they will be once we hit turnover to be annual. So we'll discuss all of that in detail. Thank you again, John. I'm looking forward to working with you and getting you up to snuff with all of the new portal accesses you'll be having as a resident board member. And from here, I think she's about to head out, but any questions for me still, we can continue to do. And then we'll adjourn, and then I'll be working with John for his board functions. Yes, sir.
When you say the developer, Megan, that's Ryan Holmes?
Oh, that is a very good question. The distinction between developer and builder. So DDC Management is the developer, and she is the board representative for the development side. That is separate from Ryan Holmes. That's not the case with every HOA, but for Brooks Landing specifically, there was a developer who came in and did the horizontal work for the whole parcel of Brooks Landing. Then they had lots created, platted out, and then they sold the lots to a builder. This one was Ryan Holmes. So anytime if you have a lot specific issue, irrigation is the kind of middle bit, because if there's a common area issue because the lot irrigation comes off the common area lines, we need to know about it so we can always check on the common area side of it. But any other type of interior unit, exterior home, or lot grading, that would be on Ryan Holmes to follow up with, not the developer. And that's the distinction. That was a good question.
And just to follow up, did the developer hire Atlas Management? Who hired
Board,
them?
yes. So technically, yes, the board of directors did have us enter into a contract for management of the HOA. So not DDC Management, but their representatives on the board. So it's still Brooks Landing HOA that Atmos is contracted with. It just happens to right now be developer controlled, which is why it.
And what is the annual management fee that you charge the HOA for your services?
So I will double check. I believe it's $5.25 base rate, and then per closed door, I believe it's $5 a door, something like that. I can get that specifics out to you.
When you say $5.25, that's.
So there's how we structure it, and this will be one where we can make sure that the contract is visible for, and it's not a board function, but homeowners will be able to see the contract as of end of business tomorrow. We have a base rate and then a per closed door. So what that means is if there's 113 homes closed in the community, then that's the closed door. So at full build out, we would have our base rate plus the 143 closed door fee.
And $5.25, what is that?
So 520, I believe, now I want to double check, because I'm a portfolio manager, which means I have multiple communities that I manage. I'm telling them, don't quote me on this, I'm gonna check it, and it's gonna be on the contract, you can see it. But I believe it's $5.25 base with $5.25 per closed door.
So there was a $10,000 increase from this last, from the, I guess it would be the 2024 annual budget to the 2025 annual budget, for the Atlas. What all was in that?
So that's a good question as well. So Atmos, what we typically like to do, our structure, we work with developers when the community has still maybe not even have a home started on the lot yet, and we help start that. We get an initial budget set up, we start working with getting vendor contracts bidded out, and then as the homes develop, our fee changes. So obviously managing a fully built out community with all the members closed is a different set of work than a bare lot that has nothing on it. So that would scale that way. So that would be so 2024 there was. Okay, sorry, thank you.
No, you're fine.
Thank you, Megan, I appreciate your time. And again, thank you to those who have been here. We still keep taking questions, but that's why that would be different. And if you don't wanna stay, you don't need to at this point, but again, welcome to. So actually, I will say, we did just, technically, I think we've now lost our quorum. So officially, we're gonna adjourn the meeting, but I can stay for questions. We can still keep going, we're just gonna adjourn for the minute purposes. So at 5:08, we've officially adjourned the 2026 annual meeting. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, can I get a motion to adjourn? I'm in talking mode right now, so.
I make a motion to adjourn.
John Simon, do I have a second? What's your name? Randy Bachman. Randy Bachman, perfect. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Just for fun, so I can put it in the minutes? No? Okay. Sorry. Okay, so let me mark that down really quick at 5:08. Move my stuff.
Say, we have this scheduled for a later time.
I'll address that in just a
We're working, and could not be here.
Yes, so we did have that as a request for an evening or a later afternoon meeting outside of work hours. I am fully expecting the turnover meeting, which will, timing-wise, would have been our next annual meeting in 2027 anyway. It will be an evening meeting. And then from that point, it is a resident-controlled board. Your management company works with your board of directors, whether the developer-controlled or resident-owned, and we would schedule accordingly. So moving forward, I'm expecting the next meeting to be in the evening, because it'll be resident-controlled at that point, or be turning over to resident-controlled. And that would be the same thing for in board meetings, they want them in person. We would be able to do that. And if they want to keep them by Zoom, but schedule them in the evenings. We work with that board to schedule based on how they want to set up their meetings. So that's a good question on that. Turnover will be in the evening, and then it'll be up to your board on when the annual meetings are scheduled from that point, which most resident-controlled boards schedule them in the evenings, or at least in the later afternoons. Granted, I know some that do it like Saturday at 9 a.m. I feel like that's mean. They don't want people to show up, but it's a possibility. So, yeah, no Saturdays if we can help it. Any other questions? Yes.
I just wanted to get clarification on the cost you were stating, because I'm confused. Is it $525, $525,000?
No, no, not that
I'm
much.
like real confused.
I'd be living in the community if y'all were paying $525,000 for management. Okay. I would be constantly working. No, it's, so I'll double check the cost with being portfolio, but we structure it as there's a base rate that, and so I believe it's $525 monthly, and plus an additional fee for closed doors. So
Per
we have,
month.
per month.
Per month.
Yes, and it's like $5.25, I believe, is the one for closed doors.
So it's about $1,000 or so.
Yeah, I think this last one was about 1,100 or something along those lines.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. No 525,000.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, goodness. Additional questions? And if not, we'll do what's called a board organizational meeting. Y'all are welcome to hang out, but I won't be speaking this loudly at that point, because I'm going to be on the phone with the developer along with every board member to organize. But if we have additional questions, yes. Yeah.